Hey guys, back at it again, and this time we got another horror film, the killer chimpanzee movie, Primate. So yes, I got to see the new killer chimpanzee movie, Primate. What a start to horror. I just want to say that. I know I'll break it down, how I normally do it, but what a start to horror. I mean, going from We Bury the Dead, and I know that movie's kind of mixed depending on who you ask, but I think a well-done horror film that really tackles grief and closure really well. And then we get to this movie, which is totally different. Very much different, much faster paced than that movie, a bit more fun than that movie is, which is Primate, which follows a chimpanzee named Ben who, well, really, let me back up. So it follows Lucy, who's the main character. I'll say for the most part these characters don't stand out a whole lot, but Lucy is the main character we're following with her friends as they go back to where she lives, which I believe is Hawaii, which makes a fun backdrop, I will say that. So they come back to Hawaii, to her. She just had her mom pass away recently. She's coming back to her sister and her dad, who plays a deaf character in this, who's the guy from Coda, Troy Coaster. He's in this movie. I've never seen Coda, but I've heard it's really good. But yes, anyways, she comes back. She has a pet chimpanzee named Ben. Ben is a part of the family, but eventually Ben gets bit by a certain animal and gets rabies, and then stuff ensues. As you see in the trailer, there's a lot of most of the characters in water while Ben is surrounding them. So when it comes to this movie, builds great tension. I like, especially with the design of the chimpanzee, which is super well done, but also you gotta, chimpanzees are actually scary. And what I mean by that is they're incredibly strong, which they show in this movie. Really well done job of showing that. They're incredibly strong. They're, the horrific stories that are out there about, I think Joe Rogan on his podcast told about one of them, as far as a guy that had a chimp and then had to give it up. He came back to see the chimp after a while, gave it cake, and somehow the other chimps broke in, and because of their jealousy, ripped this man apart. I mean, they tore him apart. So, not that all chimps are bad, and we do not want to take that from this movie, but what the movie shows is the dangerous side of animals. Granted, this particular animal had rabies, so it really didn't have a choice. It kind of, once you get rabies, you kind of lose all rational, anything like the fact that it loved its family, that it was in, as you could tell in the early stages of the movie, had completely gone. And this movie just does a great job showing how terrifying that is, how terrifying a chimp that has rabies would be. Yeah, like I said, really good backdrop with Hawaii. I thought it added a lot. I thought the location was a fun little location. We kind of stay in one area, but it works for this type of movie for sure. Kind of like not really a haunted house movie, but that kind of feeling as we're kind of we don't use the entire house. I mean, most of the time it's the pool area, but you get different sections, and I thought that was really cool. I thought this movie does a good job of not beating you over the head with themes. I was okay, we don't get movies like this as much anymore. This is definitely has somewhat of a callback to some of those '80s horror, which like you get kills, you get maybe there's a little bit of a theme like there is in this movie. There is some grief stuff, but and some emotional stuff at the end. But like through and through, though, it's really about the kills and the tension, and it does both of the things so well. The kills are well done in this movie. It doesn't make you live in it though. Like there's some gruesome moments. Don't get me wrong. There's some gruesome moments, but they don't make you live in them. Not like a Terrifier would. I love Terrifier, but I'm just saying I also like with this movie I don't need to see, the chimp like rip something off and then let me go back. There is some of that. So let's not get crazy. But like I also feel like it doesn't live in it too much. There are some scenes though where it does get a bit crazy, and I do enjoy it. A little bit of that carnage candy, but not too much of it. But I think it mostly does a good job of just being like a throwback and just also just having fun. It's not like, I'm not saying like you're laugh out loud kind of funny, but a fun like, man, this is like you're on the edge of your seat and you're sort of rooting for the characters, but you're also kind of like waiting for the next kill because they're brutal and kind of awesome in an effed up kind of way. And I also like, it does do the emotional parts well. Ben was a family member that does get rabies, and it is a big deal. And Lucy, the main character, her mom, obviously, as you find out in the movie, died previously, and that stuff is kind of interwoven. Joanne Roberts does a really good job with this film, and I was pleasantly surprised, honestly. I know he directed 47 Meters Down, which I've never seen. I know he directed Resident Evil Raccoon City, another one I haven't seen. The only movie of his I've seen is Strangers to Prey Night, which I did not like. Maybe it's a movie I need to see again, but I remember seeing it and I just didn't get it. I know that movie has kind of somewhat of a following, but just wasn't for me. I much prefer the original. But yeah, this is a great way to start. And January is not a bad month right now. What is going on? We still have plenty of other really anticipated movies coming out. So I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited to see what else is for the month. But this movie in general is a theater movie for sure, which hopefully doesn't spoil my grade. I do have to get into the negatives real quick though. I would say I do really enjoy the runtime. I didn't get to talk about that in positives, but I did like the runtime. It's only an hour and 29 minutes, which is super dope for a movie of this. Like, you definitely don't want a movie like this to be too long because then it gets dragged out and you get certain scenes that are unnecessary. But in the same respect, I did feel like we rushed certain stuff with the characters. Granted, in this type of movie, I don't know that the characters matter a ton. They're just kind of put in there, old school horror, like I mentioned, just put in there to die, which I am cool with. I love slashers, so that's my kind of horror. But there are certain scenes where I was like, we could have lived in the scene a bit more, or maybe a bit more context on this scene, where I was like, but I kind of got over that real quick once I knew the movie we were in. Another positive that I forgot, and I gotta add this real quick, the guy that does play the deaf guy, is in Coda and plays the deaf dad in this movie. That brought another amount of tension, because also the chimp knows sign language, so that was really awesome job too, like really, really smart. But anyways, getting back to the negatives, I mean, there's not much. It's not like you're not going to this movie. It's not gonna break anything, like breaking any ground. It's not gonna be the greatest horror film of all time. It's not really that scary. There's a couple of moments where, like I say, do build tension well, but nothing like animal killing movies don't really scare me really. But as far as the scenes go, they're really well crafted. And just the idea of a chimpanzee being on the run is terrifying. But yeah, you're not going into this movie thinking it's the next I don't know, Hereditary or something. Like, this is a fun 80s kind of throwback, kind of like animal killer type movie that just like is just crazy from the start to ending. It does really good with the small setting that it has, and I honestly, going into it, I wouldn't have thought that a primate movie or a chimpanzee movie could be done as well as this, like in the horror sense. Obviously, we have the Planet of the Apes movies, which are much different, but yeah, I mean, bravo to this movie. And this movie is also incredibly rewatchable. I know we got into the rewatch or the negatives, but there's just not a lot of negatives in this movie. This movie's fun. And as a horror fan, this month has me super excited. We're not even done yet. As far as like where I'd grade it at, I wouldn't go must see, but it's a fun watch, a theater watch. It's definitely one you would like to see in theaters with other people. This is definitely a with other people kind of movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot, honestly. Like, I don't have too much else to say. This is definitely a movie you will go back to multiple times. Not that it tells you different things each time, but it's a fun watch. It's a fun hang. Yeah, guys, that is my review on Primate. Nice job, Joanne Roberts. I'm interested to see what he does next. I'm excited to see the rest of the month, man. We got some bangers coming up. Next week is 28 Weeks Later, The Bone Temple. Ooh-wee. That's a big movie. It's one of my most anticipated the entire year. So I am super excited for that. See what else they got. I think there's actually one more after that, so if this is the second of the trilogy, we'll see where this leaves us off at. But the way the first one ended definitely like made you like, oh shoot. But yeah, I'm super excited for the rest of this month, and definitely comment down below. Did you enjoy this movie? Are you excited for this movie? What's your thoughts on horror? Like, if you've seen both of these so far, and like what's to come, are you getting excited? This is a horror month, really. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you like what I do, let me know. If you don't like what I do, still let me know, please. But as always, guys, I'll see you next time.